G'day, my name's Daniel and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to set up VLANs on a UniFi Dream Machine Pro or UniFi Dream Machine Base. Now, if you like the content that I supply or if I have helped you in any way, don't forget to smash that subscribe button, press the thumbs up, and we'll get straight into the video. Thank you. Now, before we get into actually creating the VLANs, it's actually important to map out what VLANs that you actually want to create. So I'm just going to bring it up in a notepad this time and just create a couple of VLANs. So look, normally we'd want a office or home VLAN, and we'll put that on VLAN ID 50. We'll create a IoT network, and we'll put that on VLAN ID 60, and we want a guest network, and we'll put that on VLAN ID 70, and that's how we'll go through and we'll set it up with the 3 VLANs. Now, ideally, you would actually want to map this out before you set up your network, including the switches. Setting up the UniFi Dream Machine or UniFi Dream Machine Pro is not an issue, but you'd preferably like to do this before you actually set up the switches. However, not all of us are that fortunate. So in this case, what you do is you go to settings, you go to networks, and you create your VLAN networks first. So in this case, we want to create our home network. And I like to put in the VLAN ID in brackets just afterwards, just so I can easily see it in other areas of UniFi. From here, you can have the option to select your type of content filtering, whether or not you don't want any content filtering, whether you want work content filtering, or whether you want family content filtering. From advanced, you enter the VLAN ID, which in my case I set 50. We want to turn off auto scale network. We want to select the IP range of 192.168.50.1/24. Press auto configure, so auto configures the DHCP range for us, and press apply. We now want to do that again with the IoT network. So in this case, we'll go IoT network, and we said that that was going to be VLAN 60. So we'll put 60 in brackets. Again, content filtering, and vice versa, VLAN ID as 60. Turn off auto scale network. Put the IP range as 192.168.60.1/24. Press auto configure, and again, press apply. Now, with the guest network, we actually want to do this under the classic settings and not the new interface. Because with the new interface, it doesn't actually give us any options to select whether it's a guest network or a corporate network. And by default, the corporate network does allow inter-VLAN routing right through the whole entire network. Now, you can configure some firewall rules, and we'll do that in another video. So press the subscribe button if you want to see that video coming up soon. But with the guest network, when you create the VLAN under the guest network, it automatically restricts access to every other network that you create. So to do that, you click on classic settings, you go to networks, you create a new network, you enter guest network, and again, VLAN ID 70. You select guest, you enter your VLAN ID, which in my case is 70. You put your subnet mask. Now, in this case, you actually want, in my professional opinion, you want to create your guest IP on a completely different IP range. You don't need to, but that's just generally what I recommend. So we'll go 10.10.70.1/24. And we'll go update DHCP range, so it automatically puts it in for us, and we press save. Now, that guest network or anything we put on that guest network will be restricted to any of these other VLANs that I have created. Now, this is where we'll go back to new settings, and we'll go to advanced features, and we'll get to switch ports. Now, with switch ports, you'll see there's a whole bunch already here, but what we actually want to do, depending on how we want our network set up, we want to create a few new port profiles. Okay, so let's just say we're bringing in, let's just say 2 switches. I only have 1, but for the demonstration of this video, I'll pretend that I have 2. And you want one network to have full access to, let's say, the IoT network. So one switch to have full access to the IoT network and one switch to have full access to the home network. Just as an example, all right? You got to add a new port profile, and we'll call this home network only, and we'll put in brackets again 50. And this is where we'll actually select the native network to be home network 50. And we'll select the tag network, so that's if you want to. So what tag network does is native network will be the home network, and the other networks, LAN, Dreamer Kids here, Dreamer Guest, Camera Network, IoT Network, and Guest Network, will also be accessible from this switch that we're about to create by tagging these networks as well. We press apply changes, and we do the same thing again, but this time we do it for the IoT network. So we'll call it IoT network only 60, and we'll go IoT network. We will again tag all networks. In this case, we don't have a voice network, and we'll press apply. Okay, so now that that's done, imagining that I don't actually have another switch in here yet. I have not actually adopted one, okay? If I want to adopt this switch, and the only devices that I want on this switch is going to be the home network or the IoT network, or not necessarily only, but we go into the Dream Machine, we go into ports here, and in this case it's port 3, we select it, and we change the switch profile to one of those new profiles that we created. Now, it's very important that you do not do this if you have already adopted your switch, because your switch will disconnect, and it can be a bit of a pain in the neck to get back up and running again. However, if you have already adopted your switch like I have, this is where you can then go to the 8-port switch in my case, and you can select on any of the networks that you want. For example, I'm going to select on this phone device here. This is just a simple VoIP phone. You go to edit, and you change this to home network only 50, or IoT network in this case, and you press apply. Now what this will do is this will actually assign it to the home network 50. But let's just say I had another device plugged into port 5, like another switch. This will actually assign every device on that switch to home network 50. But by doing that, it will also allow me to have access to these other networks because I tagged them in the switch profile. Does that make sense? So if I set this here as, say, camera network, this port 5 will only get access to the camera network. That's an untagged VLAN. If I set it to the home network or the IoT network, it's the same. It will only get access to those networks. Again, that's an untagged network. These options down here are our switch profiles, and these are the networks that we've allowed and will give access to others. So because I've set IoT network only, I've set the native VLAN as the IoT network, and I've tagged all of the other networks. So therefore, in the event that I do actually want access to one of those other VLANs on this switch, I can come in here and change it manually to here, if that makes sense. Okay, so by doing this, I've now set my VoIP phone as the IoT network only 60 network, and if I actually go into clients, we should see that that's actually been changed to the 192.168.60 network. And there it is. You can see that it's on the IoT network 6. I missed the 0. And you can see that the new IP address is 192.168.60.156. So again, just to rephrase, do not set it in the Dream Machine unless you haven't adopted the switch. If you have already adopted the switch, you can set it manually by coming into the port profile and selecting either an untagged network, or if you're going to plug in another switch to this device, you can set it to one of the switch profiles that you created. Okay, now onto Wi-Fi. So this is where there's a whole different ball game, because UniFi is amazing with this feature. Okay, you don't need to worry about any of the switch profiles that we just created. The only thing you need to worry about are the VLANs that we created. So to create a new wireless network, you go into settings, you go to Wi-Fi, add a new Wi-Fi network, and in this case, we're going to put this on the test guest network, and we're going to set the password as test1234, just to confirm. Yep. And then this is where we choose our network. So I'm actually going to scroll down and put this on the new network that I created, guest network 70. Obviously you can select all the other features if you want to, and press apply. Now we're going to connect to that guest network and actually show you that we have the IP address. Alrighty, our new network has actually appeared, so we're going to connect straight to it. I'm going to untick connect automatically, put test1234, and just wait for it to connect. Alright, so now that we're actually connected to the test guest network, you'll see that when we open up CMD and go to IP config, you'll see that our new IP address is 10.10.70.12, and we won't have access to the internal network to access the main UniFi page. And under clients, you should see that our new IP address is actually under the 10.10.70.12 network. We'll go through and we'll quickly create a new Wi-Fi network under the IoT network now. So we're going to we'll just edit this guest network here that I actually have. Call this IoT. Put this as test1234. I just misspelled that. There we go. Select this on the IoT network and press apply. And that's again all we need to do. Now we'll just wait for the network to come up in here. So just give me a second. Alright, so the network should be here now. So we'll go through and we'll actually connect to it. We'll untick connect automatically. Put test1234. If I can actually spell it correctly today. Okay, we don't want to make it discoverable. And it should go through and connect. Alright, it's connected. As you can see, we'll bring up CMD, we'll type in IP config, and you can see now that we're connected to the 60 network, which is our IoT network. And again, the same thing should apply here. Hasn't actually updated yet. Let's just reload the page. Okay, and there it is. It is completely and utterly updated. And obviously, because it is a corporate network, we have complete and utter access to the UniFi page and every other network on this system. Alright, so that pretty much sums everything up for this video. As you can see, the VLANs are actually very easy to create on the new UniFi OS. We'll go through and we'll create another video later on this week to show you how to block into VLAN routing and allow a one-directional routing. So for example, if you had a printer on the IoT network and you want the IoT network, so you want to be able to access the IoT network, but you don't want the IoT network to be able to access you, we'll go through, we'll create that. So if you want to see that video, press that subscribe button and you'll get notified when we create that video. Okay, so once again, if you did like this video and like the content that I supply, press that subscribe button, press that thumbs up, and we'll see you next time. Peace out.